What's good, y'all? Tristan here, and as we are wrapping up this crazy year 2020's been, I thought it would be a good time to reflect and talk about 20 things I've learned in 2020. I've been incredibly lucky and I've gotten to spend pretty much this entire year abroad from my whole country, only been back home for about the past week to two. So most of these things I have learned from my travels and just some unique experiences that I've had. First thing I've learned this year is that having a passion is key, and as long as you're following your passion and striving towards what you want to do, you're not going to regret whatever that is. My entire life growing up, gymnastics was my biggest passion. It's what I put my heart and my soul into. It's what I filled every bit of empty time I had, was becoming the best gymnast I could and doing it eventually in college. And college was really hard for me, I would say, and to some degree it was like the darkest years of my life because I just didn't have a passion. Yes, I was the team manager, but I was no longer doing gymnastics anymore, and I was searching everywhere for something I was passionate about. Now that I've found that passion again, I've found something that lights a fire, gets me excited to do something each day. I realized that that was the thing that I had been missing in my life, what I had been missing the past 3 years before this. Tons of people have questioned me about trying to do YouTube, and even myself sometimes, what if YouTube doesn't work out, but you regret it, the past year with your life, and the answer is no. I could not be more happy with what I'm doing right now, and I wouldn't change that for anything. And I really think that is all because I've found a passion, and I've realized that having a passion is key. Now, number two is that you can never judge someone based upon the country they're from. Borders really don't exist. I think the more we realize that, the more we are able to tear down our stereotypes that we have of people from different places. There are incredibly unique people from every country, and these borders that have been made, borders are all man-made. And it is up to us as individuals to break down these borders and see people who speak different languages, who look different from us, as not just humans, but humans that are incredibly similar to us. Definitely a lot of different types of people and people with different interests, but that varies in every single country. And whatever your stereotype of one country is, probably doesn't apply to 90% of the people in that country. Now, the third thing I've learned this year is how to say no, but it's not in the saying no to peer pressure type of way, but I'm someone who I want to please everyone. I always want to make people happy. It's a good thing to say yes overall, but your personal happiness comes first, and if saying no is something that will help your personal happiness, it's okay to say no and put your personal happiness first in some situations. Now, the fourth thing I've learned this year is it is really important in my life that I never stop exploring, traveling, and discovering. I get bored really easily, and for me to be happy, it is important that I am always in new situations, having new experiences, and just having new challenges and changes in my life. Whenever I get into too much of a routine, I get idle, I get complacent, and in order for me to be happy and feel fulfilled, I need to always be discovering and trying or doing something new. This goes really well with me wanting to travel a lot, so I think I'm wording this in a way that applies to me more, but I think the same kind of general concept that would apply to a lot more people is just say never stop learning. I feel as I'm in new situations, I'm always learning and growing and discovering, and maybe while you don't need that in your life to feel fulfilled or happy, it's kind of the same thing as saying never stop learning. As long as you're pushing yourself, you're learning new things, expanding your mind, it's definitely helps for self-happiness. Now, the fifth thing I've learned, and this is something I've seen so much as I have gotten older, is it is so important not to lose your inner child. Find joy in the little things in life. Never outgrow or be too cool for certain activities. This is something that my dad is amazing at. There's no one in the world I know that is better at this than my dad. It could be building a fort, building a dam, playing in mud. It doesn't matter. So many adults, they just stop having fun in these little things. It doesn't have to be a big activity like that. For me, I love waterfalls and I love hiking, and I can hike and see awesome waterfalls every day, and I love it. And obviously not every waterfall I see is better than the one before, but I've learned to just appreciate the moment and look at that waterfall in awe, or play in the mud like a little kid. And it's something that as I've recently graduated college, and a lot of my friends have graduated college, and I've seen them get into the job or get into careers, and just it's they've matured to this point where they're oh, I'm too old to play in the rain. And I'm just dude, you're just, in my opinion, they're just losing out on some joys in life. And as a little kid, sometimes you might look at adults and be wow, you're boring. It's so important to me not to lose my inner child, and I never want to be that old grumpy adult that's I don't know, too cool to do something that a child would do. Now, number 6 is nobody can be a better version of you than you, so don't try being someone else, and be authentic to yourself. You can't make everyone happy, nor should you try, so at least make one person happy, yourself, and stick to your guns and be who you are. This is something that I struggled with when I started doing YouTube and a little bit of posting on Instagram, as I saw people that I liked and I wanted to be like them. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you also have to have you have to be yourself, you have to be your genuine self. And there's some videos that I did on my early days of YouTube, I'm oh, this will get views, and it took me a while to kind of realized like it's important to stick to my guns, do videos that I'm comfortable with and like want to make. Like, don't do something that you feel awkward making. Like, it's just not who you are. All right, number 7. Number 7 is something that I kind of learned. I got a lot of hate when I posted this video right here. I really hadn't had any video get more than like a couple thousand views before this, and then like 1 day or 2 days this had like 30,000 views. Plus it had 17,000 shares on Facebook, or like an article about it did. Between Facebook and YouTube, I had thousands and thousands of hate comments about this video. I had some people recognize me in the streets, people I knew who I was kind of like friendly with, who completely turned on me, at least one person. And I really don't let hate comments get to me, but there's also something like you can never anticipate what it's gonna be like having hundreds of DMs of people like telling you like you should like kill yourself or this, that, or they're gonna kill you. For me, it just taught me a lot. Like, I knew it'd be good with hate comments, and I have been in the past before that, but it really solidified in my mind that I don't give a shit about other people's opinions. I'm not saying not to listen to others and listen to criticism, but if there's something that you've done and you know it's not bad, you stand by it, and people still don't like it, like, fuck them. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to care about their opinion. There are over 7 billion people in this world. Not everyone's gonna like you. You shouldn't have to try to please everyone. Not everyone's gonna agree with you, and that's totally okay. Number 8 is really important, and I think it will apply to a lot of people in 2020, and a lot of you will be able to relate to it, but that is that you don't have to be physically close with your friends or people to remain emotionally connected with them. I haven't seen most of my friends in a 1.5 years, but I still feel just as close to them as I did before I left the country. I've met and talked to so many people who refuse to travel, are scared to leave for a year abroad because they cannot imagine being a week without seeing their friends. The way I see it is they're being held back so much by this fear. And from my experience, I'm just saying, you don't have to talk to someone every day. You don't even have to talk to them every week or month to remain like in a good friendship with them. Now, number 9 is something that is really important to me, and it's that I've learned this year that I am the perfect person for traveling as a lifestyle. I'm good being alone, I'm independent. I feel like I could be like dropped off anywhere in the world and I would figure it out, I could make it work. I love the adventure, I love the uniqueness to each day, I love the challenges, the change, and I don't need a partner or a friend, a travel buddy to go along with me like everywhere I go. Being around travelers, a lot of people doing like their first long stretches from home, I do see a lot of people who get a little bit homesick, who, you know, they've enjoyed their travels but they want to go back and they wouldn't want to do another year-long stretch abroad. And that's totally okay. It's not a lifestyle that's meant for a lot of people, but I've been happy to realize that like the way I work, it's a lifestyle that I will enjoy, and I think I'm well suited for. Now, that being said, my next thing is that I have learned this year that loneliness is real, and it's hard and it sucks. Never in my life until this year have I truly ever felt lonely or alone. I've always had friends, family. I've never lived alone. I'm always in hostels. I've always had some sort of community around me, even while traveling. It was about my last 5 months in Australia. I pretty much went 5 months where there was I never saw any one person for more than about 3 days at a time. Earlier in Australia, I had people I worked with, people I was living with, and a community that I had kind of built around me or joined. And the last 5 months, I had none of that, and it is way harder than you might think. My last about 1.5 months in Australia, while it was still great, I love Sydney, I love seeing New South Wales, but I would go on these hikes, I'd do these awesome, cool things, and I'd be alone, and I would see a cool flower, and I just wanted to share that cool flower with someone. I would have a great day, and have an awesome experience, and at the end of the day, I just felt empty because I was like, I didn't share that with anyone. Like, I just wanted someone to enjoy that experience with, that I felt like would have made it like so much richer. Now, number 11 is a little bit similar to the last one, but that is that community is important. So, as I've kind of mentioned before, my first 2/3 in Australia, I had community, whether it was the people I worked with, there were people that I lived with, people that like I quarantined with and then hung out with them for like months while we were all in like kind of lockdown in Australia. And that was my community, and I loved it. When I grew up, I had community. In college, I had my college friends, I had the gymnastics team, that was my community. I just realized this year that having a long-term community and a community built around you, something that you're a part of, is super important to us as just like social humans, which are social creatures. All right, now I think this has to be one of the best things I've learned this year, just like the most like surprising for me, and that is that you don't need a lot to live. I don't know why this is in my head, but before I was ever like independent, being like living on my own, paying my own bills, all that stuff, I thought if you made like $30,000-$40,000 a year, you were like somehow like struggling to live. Like, I don't know, I just thought like that wasn't a lot of money, and I really don't know why that is, because I have lived off of like less than half of that money this past year, and I have had like an incredible year. I've had so many great experiences. I traveled to Australia, I went to Croatia, I got to like go hot air balloon riding, like I did all this cool stuff, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to live. But in a whole other way, besides like money, like I've lived out of a backpack this whole year, and now I'm back home and I'm like, well, I don't need anything more than this bag. I cannot, like, for me now, even though I lived like this most of my life, I cannot imagine like having enough stuff to fill up a room. If you do think you need a lot to live, really think about it hard, because I bet there's a lot of things in your life you could probably get rid of and might actually make you a lot happier. And that is because number 13 is material things tie you down, and you're a lot better off spending money on memories and experiences. The way I see it is that what I'm doing right now, like I would not be able to live the way I'm living right now if I had a car, a house, an apartment, pots, pans, like all the little things in life. Like you don't realize it, but they really do tie you down and they keep you stationary. If I'm about to spend $50 on a pair of pants, I'm like, all right, like I could buy these pants for $50, or I could keep my current pants and I could go bungee jumping with that $50. Obviously you want to get lunch with a friend sometimes and buy some of those material things. You can't wear the same clothes forever, but the way I look at it is the more of that I buy, the more I purchase in that just puts me further away from my goals of traveling, like seeing the world and having memories that will last me a lifetime. Alright, sorry if this is getting a little bit long. I'll try wrapping these next ones up. The next one is something that's super applicable to everyone, and that is that attitude and mindset are everything. What you do with the situation you're dealt matters a whole lot more than the situation you're dealt. I think we can all agree that 2020 has not been the best situation dealt to us, but there have been people who've made the most of it, and there are people who have crushed it in 2020, and I mean obviously it's affected other people more so than others, but everyone in 2020 has had an opportunity to dive into some sort of passion, some sort of craft, learning a new instrument, trying to get in shape. Like there's so many things you could have done with this extra time, and ultimately you decide to be happy, you decide to be optimistic, and you can also decide to like wallow in your own sorrows. Now I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to like put like any sort of like blame on anyone who's lost their job this year, who's lost their house. Like there's been so much shit that's gone down this year that is out of a lot of people's control. What I'm really addressing is I just saw so many people in the exact same situation in 2020, and some really did make the most of it, and some just kind of were like, I don't know, just kind of pouty about it. And I'm not trying to say I was perfect in this area at all. I have definitely pouted my fair share in 2020, but something I do think I've done that was really good in 2020 is whenever I felt really stuck, not happy in my current situations, I made dramatic, aggressive changes. I was stuck in a job that I hated, so I quit that job and I got a new one. I was in a city that I was just bored, and I felt like I couldn't do anything. I just felt like stuck when I was there. And I decided like a week later to leave that city and travel a bit and move to another city. Sometimes it can be really scary to make changes, but whenever we're feeling stuck, sometimes we don't realize that the reason why we feel this way is because of the situation we're in. So we need to make big dramatic changes to change the situation that we're in, and that can often be the thing that kind of gets us out of that rut, just gets us feeling a little bit better. Now the sixth thing I've learned this year is that people are incredibly kind. I feel like everywhere I go, every country, I have found amazing, incredible, hospitable people that just want to help you and are just like have good hearts. And I know, yes, there's some rotten apples in this world, but there are way more good, kind people out there than we like to think there are. Now, number 17 is a little unfortunate. No, not everything you learn has to be good, but I've really realized this year that it is going to be so hard for me to date someone. It's so hard for me to find a boyfriend. I wasn't out at all in high school, and in college, I just thought like I was in a small college town, and that's why I couldn't find anyone. But now I'm traveling the world, like I'm able to meet all the guys I want, and I've just realized that like statistically speaking, between like finding someone I'm attracted to, finding someone who's attracted to me, they also have to be gay. We kind of need to be in the same stage of life. Like I will only date someone that is willing to travel somewhat. Like just finding someone my age who wants a relationship isn't super hard. So I've realized this year that it's just gonna take way more work than I want to find a boyfriend. Like I mean, I'm always out there, I'm always looking, like I'm always open. I don't know, maybe I'm just a difficult person to date. Number 18 is friends don't necessarily make good travel buddies. So I've traveled with tons of people this year on different trips, and some of the best ones I've had have just been like random people I met like the day before, and then we just have super similar travel styles. We want the same things. It just works out super well. Then there are people who maybe I've met through a job or just, I don't know, met in the past, like are friends with them and I've traveled with them, and like it just doesn't work out. We're just not very compatible travel buddies. And I've realized that the qualities, the characteristics that make a friend are completely different from the quality of characteristics of people that make a good travel buddy. And number 19 is that family friends are so much more important to me than I ever realized. I've been almost 18 months without seeing my family or family friends, and you know, while traveling I kind of thought like I was doing great without them. Like it's good to check in on them every once in a while, see what they're doing on Instagram, but overall like I was happy. I was doing my, like, I was doing me. But I have come back, and these 2 weeks back, has been the most incredible 2 weeks. Like, I'm sorry, that's one of the reasons why I haven't been posting too much, is because or pretty much at all, because I've been hanging out with them, and I've been enjoying my time back. I feel like I never fully realized what I had in those relationships until I came back. So appreciate the loved ones and close friends in your life, and be grateful for the time you get with them, because yeah, they're incredible, and I just feel so lucky to have these people in my life, and I didn't realize how much I missed them until I came back. Now number 20, the 20th thing I've learned in 2020 has been we don't have as much time as we think. So let me explain what I mean by this. Back in October, I had this thought. I was like, you know, for the next 3 years, I'm probably only gonna be coming home about once a year, maybe twice a year. And I'm incredibly lucky. I have all 4 of my grandparents like still with me. But I realized the probability of all 4 of them still being alive in 3 years is pretty small. So with 1 or 2 of my grandparents, I probably only have the opportunity to see them like 3, 4, maybe 5 times before one of them passes away. And just a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks after kind of thinking that, having that thought, being like, all right, I want to spend some time with them over Christmas, but I still didn't call him or anything. But right after that, I get a call from my dad saying that my grandpa and his dad just got starflighted, like flew in a helicopter to the hospital, and they didn't know what's wrong with him. And he spent about a week in the hospital. He had, I don't know, we won't go into it, he had a bunch of problems, but thankfully he's now back at home safe. But there was for a while when we thought we were gonna lose him. And then while he was just starting to recover from that stuff, he got COVID, and then we thought we were gonna lose him again. And the scariest thing for me was I realized my entire time in Australia, I talked to one for about 5 minutes that entire year, like 1 phone call for about 5 minutes on my birthday. I sent them maybe 2 texts. So when I say I learned we don't have as much time, I'm not saying like I mean maybe we don't, but I'm saying we don't have as much time as we think with like people we love, especially maybe like the older generation in your family. So make the most of it. At least for me, it's now a point to spend some time with them and at least talk to them a little bit more regularly than I have been. Those are some things that I've learned this year. I know 2020 has definitely been a learning year for all of us, so if there's anything that you've learned this year, I'd love to hear it in the comment section below. You know me, I'm always all over those comments. I read all of them. I wish all of you the happiest of New Year's. Let's go 2021, bring it on. Peace out 2020. Anyways, thank you all so much. These are just my thoughts on 2020, wrapping up the year, and I look forward to having some more videos out coming up in 2021. Peace out, y'all. Have a great year. Adios.